Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And as always, and as I'd like to and thank, I offer you and wish you blessings and honor from the infinite creator, and that you and your friends and your family will continue to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom of the universe. Now, with that said, um, more earthquakes going on. I was just noticing when I did my update this afternoon of what the earthquakes were doing, and there has been several earthquakes around Mount Hood. A lot of them in Northern California versus Southern California. There's been a crumb load of activity on the Aleutian Islands out there in Alaska. There have been three 5 point plus in the last hour and a half. So the energy is absolutely moving right now. It is transferring. It's moving places. There are several places in the middle of the United States and Oklahoma that got hit with some earthquakes today. Not necessarily out of range, or it's just that the energy is transferring underneath the plates, underneath the United States. It's spreading out north and south. But it was just curious that just in the last 6 to 8 hours, there's been this increase of activity around Mount Hood and Oregon. And so I bring this up in that, people out, I know I have friends in Oregon and California, but, hey, folks, that energy's transferring. If you live in a quake zone, you need to really keep an eye on things. I have no idea what it means about all this uptick around Mount Hood, but it's really shallow. And has been some speculation not too long ago that Mount Hood's kind of been acting up a little bit. Well, Mount Hood's not too far from Mount St. Helens. And there's another one in Ridgecrest, California. Man, them things are popping off every 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, that would have shaken me out of my sleep, if you will, because this has been happening, steadily since the 4th. And this is the 9th. So for the last 5 days, it's been almost nonstop quakes in Southern California. But now that energy is transferring. Don't know what it means around Mount Hood, but they were talking about the volcano there, the old volcanoes and so forth, that maybe there's magma rising and so forth. Well, with all this shaking going on both ends of the scale, because right now the Aleutian Islands and the upper plate around Alaska, they're getting hammered right now with 5 plus. There was 3 earthquakes in the last 2 hours up there, Nikolai or something like that, Alaska, but it's all the way out on the Aleutian chain, dang near to Russia, if you will. But the idea is this energy's out there. It's popping right now. This is not to scare anybody, but I just, hey, what's going on with Mount Hood? A lot of quakes. I mean, there was just one just before I started this video. And I was like, well, I don't know. Should I do this or not? It was like, bam. There was another one a few minutes ago around Mount Hood. And they're showing some of them on USGS, but I've got another app called, let me see if I can name this thing. What's Earthquake Early Warning System? It's a quake thing, and it gives the details, and I mean within a few minutes of them happening. And so, but for the people in Oregon, the people in North California, and the people in Washington, Mount St. Helens and all that whole Cascadia area along in there, they're old volcanoes. Mount Rainier is a volcano, and so, and I've got friends in the Seattle area, So, I want to warn them folks out there, y'all pay attention. And because there's a lot of energy that's being transferred. Where it's going to show up, I don't have a clue. But I am watching the signs. And for people around Mount Hood and in that area, if you haven't been aware of another one in Little Lake and Johannesburg, California. I mean, blessings. Hey, Michelle, how are you? But I've always been talking about earth changes and modifications and things. There's a lot of people out there want to panic right now, And the thing is, we just must be prepared, both physically and spiritually. God forbid that any of us get knocked out of this lifetime early. Maybe not early. It might be our time to go. But the idea is that we should keep our spirits clean and up. Um, Same to you, Michelle. Cloverdale, California. That's a new spot, a 1.4. It's Quake Alert. And it's an app that goes on. I've got a Chrome. Hey, Delaney Pearl, how are you? Hi, Michelle. Blessings to you this afternoon. But I'm a watchman, so I have to, give warning where I'm prompted to give warning. And do I think the big one's going to go, or do I think Mount Hood's going to explode? No, but there's some shaking going on. And if you're around those areas, at least attach, your shelves and stuff to the walls, take things down that might fall on your head. I mean, there are things that you can do, but with the activity that's going on now, anybody that lives in these areas that refuses to take certain, basic precautions, like have several gallons of water in, set aside, and don't touch them, get a few buckets so that you can collect water. If you can't flush your toilet, you can always go in a bucket, get a 5-gallon bucket. I got one for camping with it's got a toilet seat on it, and I'm old and it's hard to squat when I go camping. And, so I take my 5-gallon bucket with my little plastic seat on it. And, everybody should have a 5-gallon bucket and a seat in case something happens. You can always have a place to sit down and go. And I know people say, well, what's that? Listen, when the lights go out and you got to go, going outside in the yard or, pooing in the same place. I know it sounds gross, but folks don't think about this until it's too late. What if your plumbing stops? What if you're disrupted going to your sewer line or something? Do you have a backup plan other than going out and squatting in the yard? There are solutions. It's called a 5-gallon bucket at least. And anybody when I go camping, I always take a bucket unless I go down the river. And then usually I've got some kind of containers that are bucket-like. But it's to contain water for washing and this and that, and sprinkling, cleaning your hands when you get sand on them, whatever. But a 5-gallon bucket goes a long way. And when you're trying to survive in a nasty situation, I got a bunch of 5-gallon buckets, and I'm here to tell you, they collect rainwater. You can, if you're foraging for food or rocks or whatever you're doing, that 5-gallon bucket now becomes a big basket that you can put stuff in. And they're not heavy, they're plastic. Another one in Cerro Valley and Ridgecrest, California again, 1.4 and a 1.0 respectively. But, in the preparedness issue of things, we've got a possible hurricane, tropical depression, circulating off the coast of Florida right now. And we're getting haphazard rain showers. Well, the other day we got a rain in 30 minutes. We got over 1.25 inches of rain in 30 minutes. Now, if it had rained just a little bit longer, we would have been in a flash flood situation. And 1.25 inches of rain in 30 minutes, that's a lot of rain coming down really quick. Washington, D.C., they were flooded yesterday, flash flooding. Flash flooding can occur anywhere at any time that there's a heavy rainfall in a short duration of time. It doesn't mean you're, quote, going to get washed out to sea. Sears Valley, Alaska got hit again, and Ridgecrest again. Man, these things are popping off. And another one in Sears Valley, Cyril's Valley, 1.3. Yeah. But anyway, so I just wanted to get on here and kind of put it out there. My prayers are for all these folks that are living out there along these quake zones. And it's not just there. I'm still, I hate to say it, but my insides are expecting something to hit the New Madrid along the Mississippi. God, I hope not, but there's too much energy that's being shoved to the east. And I just think people need to be aware. All the flooding going on, all of the too much rain, where's the water going to? The weight of the water on the planet, the dysfunctional properties of water, meaning that when there's a lot of water in areas that don't normally hold water, it kind of can put the planet in an oblong kind of wobbly motion. A lot of people are starting to talk about the earth wobble now, and I've been discussing it for years, not to not to, put a gold star on that ain't it. It's that there have been a few of us underground, as you were, that have been noticing things, and we've been talking about them, and it's been unpopular to other people. So I'm not saying I'm the greatest at anything, but maybe I'm good at noticing things or noticing patterns. That I'm pretty good at, and I will take. You can give me a gold star for noticing patterns, if you will. But other than that, okay. But the biggest thing as a watchman and is to to remind people, even in a nasty situation, don't panic. Panic will get you killed quicker than anything else. Oh, well, let me hurry up and go over there when maybe the ground doesn't settle, or I'm going to start lifting something. There's three more: an Alaska, Coso Junction in California, and another one in Ridgecrest. So, but when in a crisis situation, things are falling, earthquakes, tumbled, fires, or whatever, you got to, rushing into anything. And now the other part of it is just standing there and just being dumbfounded and not doing anything. That's just as paralyzing or worse. But there are people without any kind of training that rush into things. And you got to tell folks, calm down, not to say you shouldn't help, but look at the situation before you just leap in there. Something might reach out, snatch you, get you. You might step on something. If you're in debris for like a tornado or something, there may be boards with nails sticking up, and you go walking in something, and in with improper shoes, and then you get a nail through your foot, and you get tetanus, and it's nasty. But the thing is that we should just prepare ourselves. Whatever these earth changes are, they're not going to go away tomorrow. Whatever is going on the planet right now is going to hang around. We're also getting hit by some solar wind and some plasma density. Nothing really, quote, earth shattering, but it is contributing to the overall problem with the expanding earth. I just checked the Schumann resonance about 30 minutes ago, off the charts for a while. Little Lake, California. There we go, some more. Hi, Michelle. Do you think if Yellowstone pops, will it trigger new Madrid and Memphis? If Yellowstone pops, there's going to be a lot more than Yellowstone and pops, and it's going to be a lot more than the new Madrid that pops. Think about the amount of energy that would have to force itself out. And I'm not saying that it won't or can't and all this other kind of stuff, but the amount of stuff underneath, the pressure, if it blew, if the whole caldera blew. Now, I think it's very possible that a portion of Yellowstone could go off, like around one of the springs or something like that, and a portion of it blow, not creating the havoc that they discuss. Because the amount of pressure that it would take, Mount Hood would go off, which is kind of interesting that there are quakes around Mount Hood this afternoon. I mean, in 2 hour time, they had 4 or 5. Just saying, that's not normal. They usually get 2 in a month or so, but right off the back. But to your point, Miss Delaney, is that, I'm not sure. I think that, for example, Hot Springs, Arkansas, there's another one in Searles Valley, 1.3. They're being consistent at least, but man, are they popping off. But I think Hot Springs, Arkansas, there's lava under there. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a Hot Springs. Guess where it's at? Right along the edge of the new Madrid and part of that along that edge right there of the Craton, if you will, and where the Mississippi Valley is. So, but there's too much energy that something's moving east. I'm just saying. And I keep seeing Memphis not being destroyed, but there are a lot of old buildings back from, the Civil War and stuff that just weren't made for earthquakes. And I'm just saying, people get hurt in those kinds of situations. There's another one in Searles Valley, a 1.0. So, man, that was what, a minute ago, 2 minutes ago? So, but I've had a bad feeling about the new Madrid for a long time. Now, there are a lot of people who say that the earth is going to spin or split and Mississippi is going to split and all that. Well, if you think about it right now, with the amount of flooding going on the Mississippi River, the floodplain of the Mississippi, it's kind of an inland sea already, if you know what I mean. The water spreads out. I mean, did the earth roll up on its side? Or maybe what if those Navy maps have been out for so long about, the planet flipping over and the changes and where all the water is going to be? Another one in Cyril's Valley at 1.6. It just again. What if that was not necessarily that it was going to, turn an inland sea? What if that meant that was going to be like the normal floodplain? Now, you over the last several years, you can look at where it's rained, where it hasn't rained as well. But wondering if the inland sea is the floodplain of the Mississippi. Did the New Madrid, depending on where you're at, the folks who named the town named it New Madrid, as in part of something in Madrid, Spain. They don't call it Madrid over there. And so depending on where you live down here in the South, and I consider, St. Louis part of the South because they know what sweet tea is. But north of St. Louis, them folks is Northerners. I don't care. You get any further north than St. Louis, and they're not Southerners anymore. I don't know what they are. But when I took a trip out there many years ago, we went through St. Louis and was on the interstate, stopped, got something to eat. Man, they had the best sweet tea. I was like, oh, man. And we went north into northern Missouri and stopped at a truck stop, asked for sweet tea, and they gave us a tea bag of some hot water and ice and said, here, make your own. I mean, it's interesting. But anyway, Max, how are you? Good to see you around and about. I'm glad to see all of y'all. We just need to keep people aware that, listen, these earth changes, nothing to panic about, but we got to keep, and I don't mean prepper prepared like the end of the world, but you got 2 weeks supply and stuff. Are you prepared for a short-term disaster, catastrophe? Another one in Sears Valley, 2 more in Sears Valley, a 1.5 and a 1.9. Man, them guys are getting hammered. But are you just like, tropical storm weather, flash flooding around here? There are people who still live in low-lying areas, and every time they get flooded out, when it rains a little too much during a tropical storm, everybody bitches about, oh my God, my house flooded again. Well, dummy, Mother Nature's been trying to tell you for years, move to higher ground. Either that or lift your damn house up, something. If you don't want to move off your property, at least pick your damn house up. I'm just saying, that it is what it is. But a lot of people are just like, ain't even paying attention. Another one in Coso Junction, 1.1, it looks like. But, and something else, I'm just going to toss this in here, but there's a lot of information going on right now that Oak Ridge, Tennessee, up there's a tri-state area up, and they're on the edge of the Appalachians on the eastern side of Tennessee. A lot of underground facilities there. And they are there's new articles out, BP Earthwatch put it out also, that the scientists there are going to try to open a door to a parallel universe, much like CERN. Now, they're not talking about what the device is, but they're fixing to turn it on soon. What? Now, I've already been talking about that the Appalachian Mountains and that area, both sides of the mountain, have been having way too much earthquake activity. I mean, about 10 days ago, there was a 2 point something around Dalton, Georgia. What the hell, Hey, from UK, Terry B, blessings to you. I know you folks over in UK get your share of mess over there too. I try to keep an eye on the world, of what's happening and patterns and things, and dry spells, hail coming out in weird places. I mean, there was a report yesterday, I think it was in Spain, where, they had this tsunami of hail come out of the skies down in was it Guatemala, I think, last week or so. They had a huge amount of hail. You know, it was just literally filling up the streets. I mean, if you don't think that the planet ain't acting weird right now, pay attention. But again, it's not about fear. But do you have stuff ready if the lights go out? You got extra batteries. I know you hear this stuff all the time. You don't have to buy food from MREs and that kind of stuff. If you can afford it, okay, fine. But a couple of years ago, I stocked up on food when I really got into this horrible scare business. About 5 years ago. And I just started stocking up with stuff. I still have canned goods from 5 years ago. I'm using them up now. Now, a few of the cans are a little older and the bottoms have started to pop. Not a good thing. So if you're going to use canned goods, at least rotate the stock. But the thing is that these canned goods are still good after 4 or 5 years. I don't have a problem with it. You know, I've got a rice that I stored in containers 4 or 5 years ago. The rice is still good. Same thing with noodles. I love noodles, all different kinds of pastas and things, easy to throw together, and you can turn it into a pasta salad. You can add a little mayonnaise or throw in some, you can make it an egg salad pasta thing, a lot of stuff, right? And it sticks to your ribs. But, for pasta, I put pasta in old coffee folder. I'm not trying to promote folders, but Folgers cans, they seal the best, in my opinion. And so when I buy coffee and empty them out, I got these containers. I put rice in them. I put noodles in them. I put anything that's dry, perishable in these things and tighten them up. And they've worked very excellent over the last few years. So there are simple things that some people throw away that I collect my Folgers plastic coffee things, and I put dry goods in them. Or, somebody brought me some fresh vegetables yesterday, some little mini tomatoes, and they're great, and some okra and a few beans, just enough for me to have a little mess of something. But the thing is, where's my container? I had an empty coffee thing, put them in there, put the lid on, popped it in the refrigerator so everything stays fresh. So, another one in Cyril's Valley. I'm hoping that nothing catastrophic happens. I'm hoping that Mother Earth and the planet hears our prayer. Listen, we know you've got to settle out and everything's, expanding and moving around. We're just hoping and praying, at least I am, that things are mitigated, that are, they're kept to a minimum as much as possible. That's my prayer. It's got to happen. It must happen. Mother Earth, all of us are going through these changes. And, if you believe the higher spirits and some of the ETs, then Mother Earth is expanding and she is changing her vibration so she can go into the fourth along with us. It's not just us, it's the planet going. We are all evolving during this time. And so, but, whether you want to believe that in yes or no, the bottom line is that the earth is changing and we're sitting on top of it, like a bowling ball that's got cracks in it, okay, maybe it's flat, but anyway, but to the point though, let's keep an eye on things and let's make sure we keep in our hearts. There's another one in Little Lake and another one in Cyril Valley, 1.4 and a 1.9 in Little Lake. Interesting. I haven't seen anything since I started this video, the last 24 minutes, that came out around Mount Hood in Oregon, which is a good thing, but just saying, it's out there and things are rolling around. So all across the world, I have picked up some wonderful subscribers here in these last month or so. I bless you all. Thank you for subscribing to this old crazy dude down in South Georgia. But remember, it regardless of what happens, we need to have our spirits right. We need to have our core values set. So regardless of all the confusion and the chaos going on around the world, keep your spirit as clean as possible and as focused. Another 1.8 in Coso Junction, California again. So keep your vibrations as high as you possibly can. Try to stay out of the chaos as much as you can. Remember The chaos is just that. If you try to get yourself involved in the chaos, you're going to become chaotic. If you keep your spirit in as much of a good a frame of mind as possible, then you're going to stay there. That instead of getting trapped in the chaotic matrix crap of the world. So, my blessings, my friend. I didn't really have any particular topic. I just wanted to put this out there that the energy is moving, and it's moving up and down because that's the easiest way for these for the energy to transfer right now. But it's heading east. It has to. There was another big 4 point, almost a 5.0 in the Mid Atlantic Ridge again, out near the equator, but just off of Puerto Rico and over there. And Puerto Rico, them folks over there in the Caribbean have been getting hammered every single day for the last 2 years. I mean, they have multiples every single day. Michelle, love you too, my friend. Pass the hugs around, cosmic hugs to everybody. Let's try to keep the planet together. Don't go off the deep end if we can. Do our best. In a bad situation, of all the things I've learned as a first responder in dealing with tragic events and things, the biggest thing is don't panic. That is so important for people not to panic. You see people in movies and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And for example, you see something blowing down the street at you, don't just stand there, duck in an alley, get up beside a building. Super Soldier Talk is on right now. Okay, doke. Thank you. But I mean, there are stupid things that you see that people do in movies, and it's like, don't do that. Don't stand out in the middle. If there's a thunderstorm, I've seen some of these people like try to cross the street to get to the other side when the wind's blowing 60 miles an hour and cars and trees and things are going by. Like they're super people going to make it to the other side. Don't be stupid. Wait, because you probably ain't going to make it. And, the other thing is like, if you got to go, then crawl on the ground. Get on your hands and knees because you're less liable to get picked up by the energy and tossed into a building. You're less likely from getting hit by flying debris, and when they're smoking stuff, if you stand up, smoke's going to get in your face if the house is on fire and so forth. So there are things, just try not to panic and try to not be stupid, but anyway, but human beings are as they are. So I'm going to quit this video and let you all get back to what you're doing. I love you all. Been working out in the garden. It's hotter than hell down here in South Georgia. It's like 108 on the heat index, about 96 outside right now. It's a little warm. So Max Vision, Terry B, Michelle, I can't see anybody else at the moment. Blessings to all of you. Let's keep our collective shite together, as it were. And don't panic during these situations. If you got a little extra that you can share in a situation, please. That's what we're supposed to do. So, ending with the prayer, as always, I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relations will continue to accept and receive the blessings from the universe. Open up your hearts, your mind, allow your brains to expand and understand the universe is a vast place. The quantum realm. I mean, they want to break into these parallel universes. Why are they so actively seeking to break into the other dimensions from the third dimension? All we have to do is cross over with our hearts and our mind and our spirits. Shamans have been doing it for millions of years on all kinds of realities and all kinds of places. So, be careful what you do. Keep our hearts and thoughts and prayers together. Continue to accept and receive the gifts from the universe, the wisdom and the knowledge and the healing. Pass it along, my friends. Be safe. And until next time, I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. Blessings this afternoon and be safe. It's good to see you all. Till next time, adios.